You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, and tonight the Warriors rallied back late and had two shots in the final possession to tie it up, but couldn't force overtime as the Los Angeles Clippers held on for the 102-99 win. After giving up a double-digit lead in the first half, the Dubs turned their game around in the second half, locking down defensively and scoring points off of turnovers. But the Warriors bench was outscored 45-28, an aspect of their team that is usually a strength turned against them tonight. Ultimately, the bench scoring differential played a big role in tonight's outcome, as did the Warriors' terrible free throw shooting. We got to get into that. The good news, this is just the third loss of the season for the Golden State Warriors, but the bad news, the Clippers might have just given the NBA the blueprint to beat this Warriors squad going forward. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed, and thanks for making us your first listen following these Dubs games. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Early in this one, the Warriors put themselves in a deep hole with turnovers. This is something that we saw a lot last year over and over and over with last year's Golden State Warriors squad, but it's something that hasn't plagued this year's team the same way it did last year's team. But tonight, those turnovers came back to haunt the Warriors, especially in the first half, put them behind in a bad spot early on, and they were constantly digging out of this hole. And the Clippers are a tough matchup for the Warriors. They have a lot of size inside. Zubac is a tough matchup for this squad. He plays decent defense out on the perimeter, even though Steph Curry seems to hunt him in these big moments. But overall, this Clippers team, pretty sound defensively. They held the Warriors to just 99 points tonight. The Warriors usually score a ton of points. I mean, they're third in points per game in the NBA with 121.3. And tonight, the Clippers held them far below that average. A big reason why. The bench scoring, as we just pointed out in our open, the Warriors bench just really was not able to get it going, and the free throws put them in a very bad spot. But the Warriors ultimately, at the end of this game, had two shots in their final possession. They needed a score with about 30 seconds left, and then a stop, and then three at the other end. And that's exactly what the Warriors were setting themselves up for. They got a Andrew Wiggins layup inside with about 30 seconds left, and then they got a strip steal on the defensive end of the floor, and you get Steph taking the ball back up court with about 20 seconds left, and Steph pulls up for three, clanks it. The Warriors get an offensive rebound, and they relocate for another shot at the buzzer, or with a couple seconds left just before the buzzer. That one can't go in. The GP2 three couldn't go in. They were really not letting Steph get his second shot off on that possession. Double, triple teaming him. They were not going to let Steph get that final shot up. And in GP2, I don't hate that he was the one that was, taking that shot at the end of the game. You obviously want a better shooter than that, probably shooting that shot. But he was wide open, and there wasn't enough time to keep swinging that ball around. Looking for a better shot. That was the best shot the Warriors were going to get at the buzzer, and it just didn't fall. You got to live with it. It's a 3-point loss, and it's a tough one. But the Clippers now have handed the Warriors two of their three losses this season. The only other team the Warriors have lost to, the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers, who have now won the second most games to ever to start an NBA season, only trailing the Warriors, obviously. But, I mean, this Clippers team seems to have a recipe for beating the Warriors, and a lot of it involves a pressure on the defense to force turnovers. There was a ton of turnovers, especially by the starters today. Draymond Green, 6 turnovers is entirely too many for a player of his cerebral caliber. Steph Curry, 3 turnovers as well, but he healed a couple. Moses Moody had 3 turnovers too. The turnover bug bit him today. 19 turnovers for the Warriors, although they forced 17 turnovers on the Clippers by the time this one was all said and done. And really, in the first half, they trailed by minus 6 points in those points off of turnovers. But by the end of the game, the Warriors were only trailing the Clippers by 1 point in points off turnovers. So they really did make up ground in that area. But I mean, overall, the Warriors were not able to hit the threes that the Clippers were hitting in this one. The Clippers shot 47% from three-point range, Warriors only 36%. That defense in the first half was not quite the same level of intensity that we've seen in weeks past, in days past. Norman Powell, man, we got to talk about Norman Powell. Stormin' Norman has been having himself a season, man, a career year for this guy. He's averaging 23.3 points per game. His career is only 12.6 average. So this guy is, I mean, just having a coming out party all season long. He's shooting almost 47% from three-point range. And tonight, Norman Powell, I mean, he just did his thing against the Warriors. 23 points for Norman Powell on 5 of 6 from downtown. I mean, this guy was just getting whatever he wanted out there. Same with really the rest of this Clippers offense. And James Harden had a fast start too. I thought that he was going to keep that rolling through the game. Thankfully for the Warriors, he didn't. It allowed them to kind of get back into this one as the game rolled on. But the Clippers never surrendered the lead back to the Warriors. They were able to tie it up there at the end of the third quarter. And there was a little bit of wind taken out of the Warriors' sails there. I thought that was a big moment there at the end of the third quarter where the Warriors rallied back to tie this game. And right at the end of the quarter, Buddy Hield is called for a shooting foul on Amir Coffey in the corner when he's throwing up a prayer of a three to just try and beat the shot clock, try and beat just throw it up before the end of the half. And Buddy fouls him. It was definitely a foul. Buddy, kind of hip checked him as he flew by him. And you just gave him 3 free shots. Coffey drains all 3 free throws at the line, and it sends the Warriors into the fourth quarter trailing by 3 after you really should have entered that fourth quarter with a tie ball game. And it gave the Clippers a little bit of momentum heading into that fourth. And lo and behold, this game ends up being a 3-point difference. Now, none of that would have mattered if the Warriors had made more free throws than they missed. Tonight, they missed 10 shots at the line. They only made 9 of them. So if you just go, 60% from the line, 65% from the line, you win this game here tonight. 47.4% from the line is inexcusable. It's borderline unprofessional. And for a team with Stephen Curry, the greatest free throw shooter of all time, I mean, Jonathan Kuminga, 1 for 4 from the line. Brandon Podziemski missed a couple at the line that was right out of the half. He missed both of them. And that was a big moment in this one, too, as it could have brought this game to a 1-possession game. It just felt like every time that this one got close, the Warriors just weren't able to just get over the hump. I mean, it seemed like it was a mix of what the Clippers were doing and the Warriors kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Obviously, the free throws, huge, massive, massive, massive problem right now. And this isn't anything new. The Warriors are right now the worst free throw shooting team in the NBA, 71.2%. And it's obviously going to go down after tonight's performance. I mean, below 50%, that is Shaquille O'Neal territory. That is Shaq in a fool territory. This is something that this team needs to fix going forward. And we've talked about this all season long. Like, there have been multiple games where the Warriors pulled it out at the last minute. And we said to start the show, if the Warriors lost this one, we were going to have to talk about their bad free throw shooting. Well, that's what we got to do now, because the Warriors did a decent job of getting to the line tonight. They've been doing a better job of getting to the line in recent games, and they haven't been making their shots. And it has completely derailed this offense. And it's kind of given teams a blueprint to beat the Warriors. And the Clippers showed it tonight. They showed it in their last time out when they held the Warriors to 104 points, also well below their season average. In the Clippers' first win over the Warriors back at the end of last month when they beat them 112-104 at Chase Center. Tonight the Clippers win 102-99 over the Warriors, this time at the Intuit Dome. Wow, the Intuit Dome looked really cool, man. Like, that stadium, wow. It looks to be, at least from the viewer's perspective, just watching at home on the TV, looks pretty damn cool, man. I would love to get to a game out there just to go see the vibe of the Intuit Dome, that scoreboard that wraps around the arena. Just amazing. But more importantly, as we were just talking about, the Clippers, I think they gave the NBA kind of a blueprint to beat the Warriors. We'll go through that next. That's what's coming up on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding a way to get over them. Life can get stressful, and we all need a little help sometimes. Nobody can do it alone all the time. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight the Warriors fall 102-99 to the Los Angeles Clippers, the second time that they have fallen to the Clippers this season, and they've only lost 3 games. So the Clippers clearly seem like they got something going against the Warriors. Andrew the GOAT saying in the chat, the Clippers have the Warriors number, and that the Warriors just can't beat the Clippers. And it sure seems that way right now. But I think a lot of what the Clippers do really kind of slows down what the Warriors want to do. And the Warriors, we know what kind of basketball they want to play. They want to create organized chaos. They want that ball whipping around, bouncing around on the offensive end. They want a lot of assists, which they did have tonight. They had 27 assists on 37 made baskets, so that's a pretty solid number. But still, that ball just not hopping around the same way that we're used to seeing it in this Warriors offense. It wasn't moving at the same speed. This team slowed down substantially in their pace of what we're used to seeing from this team. And that seems to be the way that you need to attack the Warriors. Obviously, they give up some space inside. They give up some height, some size. But they've been able to kind of, battle back with these other bigger teams. They've still been able to find ways to win the rebounding battle, the points in the paint battle, despite being a smaller team. Now, the Clippers, they are the biggest team in the world, but Zubac gives them a hell of a time in the paint. And that guy had a plus 21 plus minus tonight, by far the best mark for any player on either team. He was a menace for the Warriors all night long, 17 rebounds. Oh, man, I mean, a block, 2 steals. He was everywhere. They did a decent job on him defensively, limited him to just 3 of 8 from the floor and only shot 2 free throws. But just the way that they kind of can dictate tempo using their size, slowing the Warriors down, forcing them to, kind of just get into these ISO sets, not letting the Warriors really do too much off ball, having really intense off ball pressure. The Clippers were really doing a good job in limiting a lot of the chaos that the Warriors want to create. Conversely, the Clippers on offense, just slowing things down with a real slow heartbeat, making the Warriors play a brand of basketball that they haven't really played a lot of this year. That getting into your half-court sets and really, really, really slowing things down. Early on, I did like some of the things that I was seeing from the half-court sets. We got a Bob Fitzgerald tic-tac-toe on the call tonight. So if you had that on your Warriors bingo card, you can go ahead and check that one off. Just some of those Fitz sayings, man, they just make me laugh. And I mean, some people are tired of them. Some people think they're old and tired, but they still just make me laugh whenever Fitz, like that outlet pass from Curry to Wiggins that resulted in the layup, touchdown. I mean, we always have these Bob Fitzgerald calls that have just entered into the Warriors lexicon of sayings, but I mean, it doesn't get old for me. I know a lot of people have kind of soured on Fitz. I don't really think I'm one of them. I like me some Bob Fitzgerald still, even though he can be a little bit of a homer sometimes, and that's putting it lightly. But still, nonetheless, I think that tonight the Warriors really did a good job stepping up in the second half after that first half just wasn't really there. Steph Curry picked it up offensively in the second half as well. 26 points for Steph on an off night shooting from 3 for him. Just 6 for 15 from 3 for Steph. 10 of 21 from the field. So, I mean, that's a good night for pretty much anyone else in the NBA. But for Steph, that's a little bit, below his caliber of play of what we can expect from him. If Steph was firing on all cylinders tonight, I think the Warriors end up winning this game. But Steph just a little bit off. Had 3 turnovers as well. Did also have 7 rebounds and 6 assists. Steph's been filling up the stat sheet a lot this year with those rebounds and assists. He's all over the floor right now. And defensively, too, Steph's been coming up with some big plays. getting his hands in passing lanes and really causing chaos on the defensive end. Wiggins, also 22 points tonight, 6 of 8 at the free throw line, 2 of 4 from 3, and 7 of 12 from the field. I would like to see him get a little bit more involved in the rebounding, though. Only 3 boards for Wiggins. And it just, I don't know. Wiggins, I like the way that he was attacking offensively. He wasn't dishing out. He had no assists. He had his Kobe Bryant face on, you know what I mean? He was just trying to score tonight for the Warriors. And I get it. They kind of needed that because the bench really did not deliver. I mean, Buddy Hield, just 3 of 7 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, and 8 points tonight for Buddy. The bench just didn't produce like normal. Kyle Anderson, 2 points. GP2 didn't score at all. Moses Mooney only had 5, and Brandon Bajewski had 1. So we no Looney tonight, no Melton tonight. So the bench was a little bit more thin than it usually is. Lindy Waters got the start. They just ran out of guys, and this isn't going to happen too often with this Warriors team, because you're usually going to have someone be able to step up and be able to keep that scoring going with the second unit. Jonathan Kuminga did a decent job, 5 of 10 from the field, 12 points tonight for Kuminga. He also had 3 steals, so he was pretty active on the defensive end of the floor, but a little bit chaotic, like a little bit out of control on the offensive side of the floor. And we see that from JK when he starts to press. When someone needs to go out and get a bucket and the Warriors offense seems to be struggling to find a rhythm, sometimes JK can get a little wild. And that's what we saw from him tonight. He just didn't play his best game. He didn't play his worst game either. He still went 5 of 10 from the field, 50% from the field for Jonathan Kuminga. We'll take that every single time. But he was just a little bit out of control. He, just dropping the ball on transitions and getting stuffed and things like that. He's still coming into who he is as a player. He's a young guy, and he'll still grow from this. But I think that the Warriors just missing DeAnthony Melton, missing Kevon Looney really played a big role in this one, especially those 17 rebounds that Zubac pulled down. I think if you have Kevon Looney, that number shrinks substantially, and you could have had another big to throw at him, because once Trace Jackson Davis came out, there was really nobody else to go toe-to-toe with Zubac in the paint, and that was a problem for the Warriors tonight. They had a really hard time, competing down there. And I think that played into a lot of how the Clippers ultimately dictated the tempo of this game, ultimately dictated the way that the Warriors were just chucking up threes tonight, and they weren't falling. And if the Warriors shoot how they normally shoot from 3, they also probably win this game. But on an off night shooting, when you're getting the Warriors out of their offensive rhythm, when you're knocking them out of their run and gun chaos, and you're making them slow down, get into half court sets, drive to the paint a little more. And hey, the Clippers said, if you guys want to drive to the paint, we'll foul you and make you earn it at the line. And the Warriors were unable to earn it at the line. Just 9 of 19, 47.4% from the charity stripe tonight. Charity stripe calamity results in this Warriors loss. I mean, you make 3 more free throws, you shoot 60, 70% from the free throw line, you win this game easily. The Warriors had multiple different ways to win this game, and they weren't able to step up in any of them. They couldn't hit threes at the end. When they had a couple shots at the buzzer, they couldn't score early on in this game. Bench couldn't score at the free throw line. So the Warriors, just not their night against the Clippers. I do think that, if they played this exact same game over again, I think the Warriors, should probably shoot a little bit better from the free throw line, hopefully, probably shoot a little bit better from 3-point land. They shot 44% from the floor, so that's not terrible. But still, I think the Warriors could have done a little bit better in all the things that is Warriors basketball. I mean, the fast break points, they only beat the Clippers by 3 in that category. The second chance points were tied. The Warriors did win the points in the paint battle, but I mean, other than that, they didn't win a whole lot offensively against this Clippers team. They were getting whatever they wanted to do, and it really slowed down the Warriors and what they wanted to do. Defensively, the Warriors, I thought, did a decent job against the Clippers. He held them to 100 points. That's pretty solid overall. Much better in the second half than the first half. They really turned it on in that second half, held, especially in the third quarter. After you give up 27 points and 29 points in the first 2 quarters, the Warriors out of halftime held the Clippers to just 19 in that third quarter. And, I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit in one of our prior shows, but Jerry Stackhouse, man, has really changed the way that this team plays defense. And it's no longer, we had Draymond Green on his podcast talking about how this Warriors defense is no longer really his defense. It's Jerry Stackhouse's. And let's get into that on the postcast. I didn't really talk about getting into that at the beginning of the show, but man, the way that this defense has been playing this season has really impressed me. And it's not just Draymond Green, and it's not just the individual efforts defensively that have really changed this team. It is Jerry Stackhouse and what he has done with this scheme defensively and how he's got everybody on this team buying into Warriors defense, to all this chaos, to getting your hands in the passing lanes. Let's get into that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Let's talk about that. We also got to talk about this bench production, man. We got to get into that a little bit more. Is this an off night for the Warriors, or is this evidence to the national narrative that a 12-man rotation just isn't going to work in the NBA? Let's get into those things and more next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and the Warriors fall 102-99 to the LA Clippers down at the Intuit Dome. That scoreboard, man, is crazy. The way that thing wraps around that stadium, the wall too, where they just don't have any break in the stands going all the way up from floor to ceiling. That stadium looks pretty damn cool, man. Like, as far as new age stadiums, they just keep getting cooler and cooler, and that one looks to be king right now. Chase Center, pretty damn cool too. But wow, the Intuit Dome just looks next level. The Warriors, they did not look next level tonight in their third loss of the season. The Clippers now have beat them twice, and we talked a little bit about how the Clippers may have provided this blueprint to the rest of the NBA for how to beat the Warriors by slowing the pace down and forcing them out of what they want to do and getting out and running and making the Warriors slow down, getting to these half-court sets. And the Clippers hit shots and the Warriors didn't, ultimately forcing the Warriors to go earn it at the free throw line because they're not doing it right now. All those things seem to be how you can beat the Warriors. But that's a pretty specific set of things you got to do in order to go beat this team right now. And that's because defensively, this team is awesome. And defense in the NBA is the great equalizer. That is what will keep that's what's going to give the Warriors the chance to beat any team that they come up against in the NBA across the rest of the season. Eastern Conference, Western Conference, does not matter. The way the Warriors play defense will keep them in every single game. They will keep everything close, and they have Steph. As long as you have Steph and a good defense surrounding him, I mean, you have a better than a puncher's chance, I think, at winning a lot of games with this squad. And again, the reason that this defense has revolutionized itself really is Jerry Stackhouse. This guy's addition to the coaching staff. I mean, they lost Kenny Atkinson, and that was a big blow. He's obviously coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers now to a undefeated record currently. So he was a big loss for the Warriors. The way that he had kind of this offensive-minded system that the Warriors would play into, and he added a lot to this team. I thought the Warriors would take a step back without him. Never did I think that adding Jerry Stackhouse would just immediately make the Warriors a better team than they were last year with Kenny Atkinson on this coaching staff. And Draymond Green talked about it on his podcast with Baron Davis. I love the addition of Baron Davis, by the way, to the Draymond Green podcast. It's like must listen if you are a Warriors fan at this point, or really even a basketball fan. It is a really fun, just the way Draymond breaks things down is crazy. It's so cerebral, and it's a great show to listen to. And you get a lot of information about the Warriors and what they're thinking and what they're kind of, feeding off of in that locker room. And Draymond even said it himself on his show. He said that with Jerry Stackhouse coming over to the Warriors, that it is no longer the Draymond Green defense. It is the Jerry Stackhouse defense that this team is running out there with. And he talked a lot about how, when you have a coach like Jerry Stackhouse that doesn't adjust too much to competition, like they rarely stray away from what they want to do on defense. They're not going to, switch up a lot of what they do just because you got James Harden or they're playing the Hawks next, you're not going to just change entirely what you're doing on defense because you got Ice Trey out there throwing up 30-footers. You're going to still do the same consistent things on defense that the Warriors normally do. And when you don't make those adjustments, if you have guys going to the coach and telling him what you're seeing and he looks you dead in the eye and says, that's fine, get out there and lock him down, keep doing what you're doing, it makes you believe because you don't have a choice. You buy in or die. And there's no like changing the system to better suit your pieces as a player. Like as a player, this coach isn't going to adjust to what you want to do. You need to be coachable and adjust to this defense. And the way that creates buy-in from these players, the way that it has made every single person on this Warriors team buy into this defensive system, it puts the Warriors in such a great position with so much continuity on the defensive side of the ball. They're clearly buying in. I mean, defensively, this team has been amazing all season long. I mean, just everything that they've been doing, steals wise, they're top 4 in the NBA. I mean, they've been doing so many good things with getting their hands in passing lanes and playing that really tough on-ball defense, and it's been super different from what we saw last year. Like the contesting of perimeter shots, it's been amazing. Seeing guys like Buddy Hield just maximum effort all the time, sprinting up and down the floor. This whole Warrior squad has completely bought in to this defensive philosophy, and it's going to keep them in a ton of games. And that's kind of brings me into my next point. I said we're going to talk about the bench stuff that happened tonight, and if that's evident, if the bench being blown out tonight is evidence of that 12-man rotation not working or not. Well, first of all, you're missing 2 pieces of that 12-man rotation because they're out with injuries with no Melton and no Looney. But additionally, this 12-man rotation, like part of the reason that those things, people want to say that's not going to work is because it's really tough to get the amount of buy-in that you need from all those 12 guys, 13 guys to actually keep them all in the rotation. When you're getting, 5 minutes some night and then, 15 the next, it's tough to stay ready. It's tough to get out there with the same intensity every single night in those circumstances. But for the Warriors, this whole team buys in. This is an exceptional group of players that they're all buying into this system. They didn't lose tonight because, guys were out of position or not doing what they were supposed to do or just making bonehead plays. They lost tonight because they couldn't make free throws and they couldn't shoot the 3, and the bench got outscored. The bench had a down night scoring. If any one of those 3 things were different, the Warriors just hit a couple more threes. If Steph was just a little bit more on tonight, if the Warriors shot even 70% from the free throw line, they win this game. And that's because they have so much buy-in from this team, and not just on the offensive side of the ball. Like the Warriors, of course, it's easy to buy into the Warriors offensive system when you're a guy like Buddy Hield and you just love shooting the 3. And it's a fun offense to watch, to play in, I'm assuming. Like I'm not playing in the Warriors offense, but I would assume it's a fun offense to play in. And it flows. But getting guys to buy into the grittiness, the dirty work, the hard-nosed, like put your nose right in there into some guy's chest on defense and get in there and make a play and keep those hands active, keep the arms up, like all those things. That takes a lot of buy-in, especially from, you can't be like the rah-rah guy in the NBA. It's going to turn a lot of these, you're dealing with grown men. You can't be that guy. This isn't college. And so in order to kind of get that buy-in, you got to have like evidence, like proof, tangible proof. And we have seen so far, like from this Warriors defense, as much tangible proof as I think anybody could need to say that this team's defense is here to stay, that it's a consistent thing, and that you have buy-in from this whole team. And because you have that buy-in from the whole team, no, a 12, 13-man rotation is not completely insane for this Warriors team. It is sustainable because you have that level of buy-in on the defensive side of the ball. The Warriors will be able to stay in every single game. The way they shot the ball in this game, the way that they just turned it over constantly in the first half, like they were down by 15 in this one, and they still had a shot at the buzzer, 2 shots in the final possession to try and tie this game up and send it to overtime. You lose by 1 possession after trailing the way that they did and being thrown off their game, letting the Clippers dictate the tempo and the pace of this entire game and the flow of it. And you don't play your game at all, and you still only lose by 1 possession. I think that's pretty solid. I think it's a lot of evidence saying that this Warriors team is going to hang around a lot of games in the season that they really don't have any business winning because they're underperforming in all these different aspects. But again, because of the defense, because of Jerry Stackhouse's defense, this team is going to be in a lot of games and it's going to win a lot of games. It's no longer Draymond Green's defense. It's Jerry Stackhouse's defense featuring Draymond Green and friends, because, I mean, wow, there's been so much good defensive play all across this team this year. Jonathan Kuminga with 3 steals off the bench today. Lindy Waters also playing some solid defense for the Warriors in this one, 3 steals as he got the start tonight for the Warriors. That's about all the time that we got for you guys in this one. Again, the Warriors lose 102-99 to the LA Clippers down at the Intuit Dome, and they'll be going next against the Hawks. That is on Wednesday, returning home to Chase Center. A quick 1-game road trip down to LA and now back to the Bay to face Trae Young and the Hawks on Wednesday back at Chase Center. We'll be coming to you live as we always do on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Until then, that's all the time that we got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.